Nicola Sturgeon's government are going after free speech, and Boris Johnson is planning to ease the lockdown, but he's going to struggle a bit. Well, another day and another Maya's life vlog, but also that means another day of seeing my crazy hair growing even longer. As if we didn't have enough problems with everything else that's going on in the country, in the world, the Scottish government and Nicola Sturgeon are now going after freedom of speech. It's a weird situation because in England, we already have a lot of restrictions. We don't really have freedom of speech in the UK, because of certain laws that we have in place. And Nicola Sturgeon's Scottish government are now putting in place a new set of restrictions. Well, as you can see, people in London are still living their lives, walking around. And we are seeing fewer police officers patrolling the streets, which is quite interesting. I think they're just giving up on people. I mentioned the Scottish government's new hate crime laws will have devastating consequences for liberty. The Scottish government wants to modernise and consolidate the law on what people are permitted to say to each other. The administration's hate crime and public order bill, introduced in Holyrood last week, aims to extend considerably the category of banned speech. Now, the biggest problem with this is that speech should always be our primary right as people, because without it, you're giving way to potential tyranny. And we have seen in the past, whether it was in the UK or Canada or other places where they have these restrictions, where innocent people have accidentally got into trouble because of a joke they made, or because something that they said was perceived wrong, or someone got offended on behalf of somebody else. And it's because it's all about perception. But in reality, offense is not given, it's taken. And that's the whole problem with the way things are going in the West in general. By the way, this is literally the second time recently where I left the house without checking the weather. Now I'm freezing. I literally thought the sun was out. The moment I came out, it's gone. Now, I've made this point before, but the priority for Nicola Sturgeon and the Scottish government should be other things, you know, education, health, and the well-being of Scottish people in general. At the same time, she doesn't care. She's just going around targeting other things, doing the whole blame game. When things go wrong, she blames the Westminster bubble, and sometimes, you know, she's right, but most of the time she's wrong because she's responsible for her own administration. And she's just trying to find ways to get her independence and her, you know, the next referendum. And if she loses, she'll wait for the next one again. But looking at more of the positive side of all this, there are people, individuals and campaign groups that are fighting for free speech and freedom in general, our personal liberties. One of them is Toby Young and his new free speech union. He was actually on Talk Radio, I believe yesterday, talking about how he wants to tackle all these issues, well, including what's happening in Scotland at the moment.
So if you join and your speech rights are violated, we'll go to bat for you. Whether that means if you're mobbed on Twitter, we'll whip up a counter mob to sing your praises. If Facebook tries to ban you because of your dissenting opinions, we'll write to them and try and get you reinstated. If you need to go to law, we can in some cases offer pro bono legal advice. So we're doing whatever we can, both to protect free speech in the country, but also to protect the speech rights of our members. And it's more and more important, I think, that we address this issue. We learnt earlier this year that the police in England and Wales over the past 5 years have investigated 120,000 separate non-crime hate incidents.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a phrase out of
Let me tell you, mate, well, one of them was me. I'll tell you about that in a bit.
Now, I was going to go to the shop to actually get some food and cook something again on tonight's vlog, but actually I don't have time because we have the 7 o'clock live stream. So by the time you're watching this, the live stream is already finished. So if you have already seen the 5:45 p.m. video, which was about Piers Morgan, and if you've already joined us at 7 p.m. earlier on, thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't have enough time to actually go and cook, so might have to get takeaway tonight. But let's talk about Boris Johnson, because he wants to find a way to ease the lockdown measures. And he has now said that he wants Britain to go fully back to work by the 26th of May, I believe. And the issue is that he's created a problem himself politically that he can't really get out of. And the problem is that he's created a an issue with communication and messaging, because the government's messaging with this whole thing has been so strong. This whole stay at home and save the NHS, save lives. It's very simple, very powerful. The same sort of team that came up with the get Brexit done, vote leave, take back control. These are very powerful messages, and now there's a bit of a backlash because the British people, every opinion poll shows that the majority don't actually want the lockdown to finish. They're afraid of going back to the normal side of life. Yes, as Fraser Nelson in the Telegraph mentioned, forget the R rate. This crisis will be decided by politics, not science. The Prime Minister's other problem is one of national confidence. He was seeking to turn the page last night, declaring that we're past the peak and looking to an agenda of recovery and renewal. But while politicians might be worrying for a return to normal life, the public is not. Polls show that Brits are more nervous about ending the lockdown than almost anyone else in the world. Internal government polling shows that only half of parents feel confident enough to send their children back to school, even if they had the chance. If public opinion is so firmly against ending the lockdown, then it won't matter what the R number is. The economy will not recover, commuters will not return, and schools will stay empty. Numberton is starting talks with trade unions to think of ways to encourage people back to work. Yeah, it's difficult. It's a kind of weird situation right now. This is why Boris is now seeking a more sophisticated slogan to exit the lockdown. It is a weird situation. They've created this problem where the majority of Brits are now actually afraid of going back to the normal life. And so he does definitely need to find a way to come up with a powerful slogan to tell people, reassure them that it's actually safe to go back to work and to socialize. I personally didn't think, I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought the Brits were, as a whole, going to be completely ready to just end this and go back to normality, but apparently not. Right, I'm going to sit down for a second before the police come and arrest me. It's actually not really that cold. I was just being difficult for no reason. So one of the things that he wants to do, Boris Johnson, is he actually wants to get rid of the 2-meter rule, so that you don't actually have to. I don't know how social distancing will continue if we get rid of the 2-meter the measure. So I'll be kind of, because I think we have to wait until, they said this weekend he might actually announce something, but I have a feeling it's going to be early next week, so Monday or Tuesday, that we might find out the actual plan, because their deadline is actually Wednesday. Yeah, but I did talk about all this with Madeline Grant from the Telegraph in the video bit that I did earlier at 5:45. So if you haven't actually seen that video, after this, make sure to go and check that out, because it's a very interesting discussion about the UK testing and how the government could actually come out of the lockdown. Right, so I'm back home now. I just finished my government-sanctioned walk of the day. I only did it once, by the way, so no need to tell the authorities. Before I finish, I mentioned yesterday that YouTube's algorithm is accidentally, let's just say, removing some of your subscriptions on the channel. So every now and then you have to double check to make sure you're subscribed, because you might actually be unsubscribed. And also the notification bell. Make sure that when you click on it, you have 3 options. You could either have all, personalized, or off, I believe. Make sure you click on all, otherwise you won't really be notified when I release a new video. So I'm just gonna go on the lift and get back upstairs, and hopefully I'll catch you guys tomorrow in the next video.